Hello, I am Pietari Kaapa and I'm an associate professor in Media and Communication Studies at the Center for Cultural and Media Policy Studies. My work is focused on researching the relationship between media and environmental issues like climate change. There are two ways in which I conduct this work. The first is to think about media representations of the environments in a wide range of contents, from nature documentaries on the BBC to engagement with climate change in fiction films from the United States, China, and so on. The other way I approach this question is to think about the environmental impacts from the production of all this media content, which is what I would like to discuss today. Yes, the media sector is a major player in polluting the environment. If you think about it, all aspects of how we produce and consume the media requires extensive use of natural resources. This goes from the arrangements required to shoot a film on location. Think about all the catering, travel, accommodation, waste, energy used on a day of shooting a film or a TV show. But wait, it gets worse. As once media has been produced, it has to be disseminated to consumers. Here, emissions are generated by the energy used from powering the digital infrastructure required to run a service like Netflix, to the energy used to power your computer. This does not take into account the metals, minerals, chemicals, and toxins required for the production of mobile devices, which are nowadays the prime means of consuming this seemingly immaterial form of media. The point is, media production is not immaterial, and digital media does not exist in some ephemeral cloud. Digital media is comprised of, in reality, a massive set of servers somewhere in a warehouse powered by an energy grid often reliant on coal or other dubious sources of energy. So clearly, the production and dissemination of the media we consume on a daily basis has a huge environmental significance. As digital and mobile media become ever more pervasive, that is, media is now everywhere and everything is mediated. These questions about the materiality of the media are increasingly significant worldwide. Yet, the problem remains invisible in popular discourse. While the media industry has started to develop policies and protocols for managing its footprints, and the BBC and other sources have produced reportages on this digital footprints, the general public remains largely unaware of this significance. Thus, to do anything about this environmental impact requires a large-scale culture change, both with those producing and consuming the media. Analyzing how the media industry takes such concerns into account is important if we want to take the media's influence on society and its role as an arbitrator of knowledge about the climate change in a serious way. For media producers and consumers, it would simply be hypocritical not to be actively managing their own footprints if they are consuming environmentalist media. My work basically explores these questions as part of what I call environmental media management. This is an area of study that focuses on how production management, media policy, media economics, and production cultures influence the ways the industry coordinates its footprints, and crucially, what it communicates about these to the public. I am currently running an Arts and Humanities Research Council network on this topic that explores how environmental protocols have been integrated into global media cultures. Here, the implementation of such protocols will depend on the environmental particularities of each context and cultural value systems in place in these industries. To put it simply, environmental production standards, approaches, and philosophies will be very different in a huge industrial machine like Hollywood or in smaller, more locally coordinated productions. Such cultural and practical differences are some of the questions we need to face when thinking about the significance of the media's environmental footprint, as these are not fully acknowledged in the industry and certainly not, at least to date, in academia. The questions that arise out of this research are especially timely in our pandemic era, as COVID-19 has brought to question all of the taken for granted processes involved in shooting a film or a television show. Simultaneously, digital media has facilitated a more socially distanced workplace that is, in some ways, environmentally effective. Think about all the travel saved, for example, from working from home, but also ineffective in others. Think about the increase in data flow and individual energy use in somewhat mundane areas like household electricity consumption. In coming up with extensive changes to work cultures and daily practices, the media industry has proved, granted under substantial economic and public pressure, that it can alter its workflows to counter what has been for it a moment of existential crisis. Yet the looming and arguably much slower but more significant crisis of our contemporary climate emergency requires a similar response, both inside the industry and amongst the general public. Furthermore, the advances to be gained from digital technology, such as the Internet of Things and predictive management tools, are only now being embraced by the industry. The implications of such technological shifts can lead to major innovations in work practices, as well as to infrastructural cultural changes in the practice and management of media production. Thus, it is now the time to explore the industry's operations in dealing with this environmental footprint and conceptualize ways academia can help facilitate these transformations in production cultures, as well as their take-up in popular cultural discourse. Thank you.